In 1346, a ship arrived in Europe from Asia. There were rats on board. The rats were infested with fleas. The fleas carried a bacterium. Over the next 4 years, between a third and a half of Europe's population died. That is 25 million people, perhaps even more. This was the Black Death, the largest biological disaster in human history. And it all started with a rat on a ship. Today, we are talking about an animal that most people absolutely despise. An animal that is exterminated, poisoned, trapped, and has become a universal symbol of filth, disease, and betrayal. Yet here is the paradox. Without the rat, we wouldn't have half of our modern medicines. Without the rat, the food chain in urban ecosystems would completely collapse. It is the rat that detects tuberculosis better and faster than any laboratory analysis. And it is the rat, one of the very few animals, that has documented evidence of laughter, altruism, and something closely resembling empathy. So, who exactly is the rat, and where did it come from? Rats are not just a single species. They belong to an entire genus of rodents that includes at least 64 species. Among them are the giant Papuan rats from New Guinea, with a body length of up to 1 meter. There are pygmy species weighing a mere 30 grams. There are species that live exclusively in trees, and others that almost never leave the ground. The most famous and widespread is the brown rat, also known as the street rat or sewer rat. This is the one we will mostly focus on. The homeland of the brown rat is southern China, a fact firmly established by genetic testing. However, when the English naturalist John Birkenhout described it in 1769, he gave it the Latin name Rattus norvegicus, meaning the Norwegian rat. He had seen these rats arriving in English ports on Norwegian ships and assumed they originated from there. This remains one of the most famous mistakes in zoology. The name stuck forever, even though this rat has absolutely nothing to do with Norway. The brown rat emerged in the wild during the Ice Age. Its population became isolated, bounded by seas to the east, mountain forests to the southeast, deserts to the west, and glaciers to the north. As the glaciers began to recede, the rat slowly spread across Asia, a process that took thousands of years. The real breakthrough came with the development of maritime trade in the 18th and 19th centuries. Rats sneaked into the holds of merchant ships, where they found grain, warmth, and shelter. Ships transported them across continents. By the 19th century, the brown rat was present in every European country. It reached North and South America in the late 18th century and arrived in Australia with the first English settlers in 1788. Before the arrival of the brown rat, the black rat lived in Europe. The black rat is slightly smaller, has a longer tail, and according to some data, possesses higher cognitive abilities. However, the brown rat turned out to be more aggressive and highly adaptable. Wherever the brown rat arrived, the black rat gradually disappeared. This is a classic example of competitive exclusion in nature, where one species drives out another without a single direct clash, simply through superior adaptation to the environment. Today, the brown rat is found everywhere humans live, with the exception of Antarctica and a few isolated islands. It is a true cosmopolitan, a species that has conquered the planet. We are used to thinking of rats as inherently urban creatures, but it turns out they moved into cities quite recently in historical terms, and only because we gave them the opportunity to do so. The rat's body is optimized by evolution for a single task: to survive anywhere and under any conditions. The skeleton of the brown rat possesses incredible plasticity. Its ribs are flexible, and its cartilage is highly elastic. A rat can compress its body and squeeze through a hole just 4 centimeters in diameter, roughly the size of a large coin. If the head fits, the entire body will pass. This explains how rats manage to get inside walls, pipes, and any other places that seem completely inaccessible. Their incisors are coated with extremely hard enamel and grow continuously by 2 to 3 millimeters every single week throughout their lives. If a rat does not gnaw on enough hard objects, its teeth will grow so long that the animal won't be able to close its mouth and will die of starvation. This forces them to constantly chew on things. The pressure generated by a rat's incisors is about half a ton per square centimeter. This allows them to chew through brick, concrete, and lead pipes. There are documented cases of rats chewing through live electrical cables. At the same time, the rat masterfully controls the force of its bite. The very same jaws that can crush concrete can gently carry a pup without harming its delicate skin. The tail is not just a tail, it is a vital organ for thermoregulation, packed with a dense network of blood vessels. In hot weather, blood rushes to the tail and cools down across its large surface area. In the cold, blood flow drops significantly to conserve body heat. Furthermore, the tail acts as a counterweight when climbing and serves almost as a fifth limb, as a rat can wrap it around objects for grip. In experiments, rats with amputated tails lost up to 70% of their agility. Specialized tactile hairs, called vibrissae, are scattered all over their body. They are 10 times more sensitive than human fingertips and are located not only on the muzzle, but also on the wrists, eyebrows, and belly. Each hair is connected to hundreds of nerve endings. In pitch darkness, these whiskers build a three-dimensional map of the environment, allowing a rat to run in the dark at speeds of 10 kilometers per hour without hitting obstacles. Rats have poor, nearsighted vision, but they can perceive the ultraviolet spectrum. Urine trails glow under ultraviolet light, so rats can literally see the paths and routes taken by their counterparts, trails that are completely invisible to humans. They can find food beneath a 1-meter layer of snow and use their sense of smell to distinguish safe food from poison, instantly detecting even well-disguised toxins. A rat's liver produces twice as many detoxifying enzymes as a human liver. It can process poisonous plants and substances that would kill other mammals. Even if up to 70% of the liver is removed, the organ completely regenerates in just 3 weeks without any scarring. The complex structure of their lungs allows rats to survive with critically low oxygen levels, such as inside sewer pipes. A rat's heart beats at a staggering rate of 300 to 400 beats per minute. They can withstand radiation up to 300 roentgens per hour and live comfortably in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. A rat can fall from a height of 5 meters without injury because its skeleton absorbs the impact. They can dive and stay underwater for several minutes, jump 1 meter vertically from a standstill, and run an average of 12 kilometers every day. Their temperature survival range spans from -20 to +50 degrees Celsius. Among rodents, rats are undisputed intellectuals. The brain-to-body mass ratio of a rat is comparable to that of some primates. The cerebral cortex features distinct folds, which increases the area for neural connections. The hippocampus, the region of the brain critical for memory and navigation, is uniquely structured in rats. Specific neurons, known as place cells, fire only when the rat is at a particular point in space. This is quite literally a built-in neural map of the area. A rat only needs to navigate a route once to remember it forever. In mazes, they do not just mechanically memorize turns, they understand the overall layout of the space. If the maze is altered, they adapt rapidly. Rats comprehend cause and effect relationships and can plan for the future. They can select a tool in advance, knowing they will need it later, and are capable of delaying immediate gratification for a better reward 20 minutes later. Even when full, rats hoard choice pieces of food and sort their hiding places by type and expiration date. Rats possess mirror neurons, the biological foundation for empathy. When a rat sees a fellow rat in pain, its mirror neurons replicate that state, causing the rat to experience discomfort. In mirror experiments, some rats, upon seeing a mark placed on their own forehead in the reflection, tried to wipe it off with their paw. They understood that they were looking at themselves, an ability long attributed only to higher primates, dolphins, elephants, and orcas. Rats dream. By analyzing brain activity during sleep, researchers proved that rats replay the events of the day. A rat that ran a maze would mentally walk the same route in its sleep, showing identical neural activity to its waking state. They are capable of metacognition, the ability to understand what they know and what they do not know. When faced with a difficult choice, rats hesitate, look around, and seek additional information. In humans, this behavior is called doubt and reflection. Furthermore, rats can distinguish between languages. In one experiment, they were trained to tell Dutch phrases apart from Japanese phrases based on rhythmic sound patterns. While they do not understand the words, they grasp the structural differences between languages. Additionally, a rat that has had its food stolen will remember the thief for a long time, acting more aggressively or cautiously during their next encounter. Did you know that rats possess empathy, self-awareness, and mirror neurons? Let me know in the comments. Rats are deeply social creatures. Loneliness causes them severe stress, and an isolated rat exhibits symptoms of clinical depression. A rat colony has a highly complex structure. Each group possesses a unique chemical scent marker, allowing them to instantly distinguish friend from foe. Alongside dominant males, the colony includes elder, experienced rats, often referred to as the wise ones. They are the first to investigate new objects and taste unfamiliar food. If a wise rat decides something is dangerous, the entire colony immediately adopts this information. This is a prime example of the cultural transmission of knowledge. This is precisely why it is so difficult to poison rats repeatedly. They pass information about the danger down to the next generations, and young rats are born with an innate caution toward that specific poison without ever having experienced it firsthand. Altruism in rats is a proven scientific fact. In experiments, they were given a choice: receive food or prevent another rat from receiving an electric shock. Many refused food, just so the other rat wouldn't suffer, even if they were complete strangers. They actively rescue their peers from traps without any promise of a reward. They possess reciprocal altruism, meaning they remember those who helped them and share food with them first. In the wild, there are documented cases of rats bringing food to injured colony members for weeks. In the play fighting of rat pups, strict rules are observed. A stronger male will intentionally let a smaller one win. If he doesn't, the little one will simply refuse to play with him. Several females will often combine into a collective nursery to raise their pups together, willingly nursing offspring that aren't their own. In large colonies, individuals who behave too aggressively within the group are actively punished. While playing, rats emit ultrasonic vocalizations at a frequency of around 50 kilohertz, which is completely imperceptible to the human ear. When scientists recorded these sounds and pitched them down into the audible range, it turned out to be genuine laughter. This is especially evident during tickling. Rats absolutely love having their bellies tickled. They laugh and chase after the researcher's hand, begging for more. When they are happy, their ears turn pink and droop in total relaxation, a sign of pure pleasure. Brain scans have shown that tickling activates the exact same pleasure centers that light up in a laughing human. Rats even possess a rudimentary sense of humor, In laboratories, they have been known to perform tricks without any food reward, simply enjoying the reaction of the researchers and taking pleasure in making a human react. Has knowing that rats can laugh and help each other changed your perspective on them? Tell me honestly. To understand the history of the plague, we must start with biology. The pathogen behind the disease, the bacterium Yersinia pestis, lived in rodent populations in Central Asia for thousands of years as an endemic disease to which they had partially adapted. The catastrophe erupted when the disease jumped via fleas to rats, living in close proximity to humans in crowded cities. The transmission cycle works like this. A flea bites an infected rat and drinks blood laden with bacteria. The bacteria multiply rapidly inside the flea's stomach, creating a physical blockage. The flea can no longer digest food, finds itself constantly starving, and begins to frantically bite any host it can find. When it bites a human, it regurgitates the bacteria, along with blood, directly into the wound. The first pandemic, the plague of Justinian in the 6th century, claimed between 25 and 50 million lives across the Byzantine Empire and the Mediterranean, permanently weakening the empire. However, the Black Death from 1346 to 1353 surpassed everything. Spreading from the Mongolian steppes along trade routes to Crimea, it boarded ships bound for Italian ports, and from there, it spread across Europe with terrifying speed. In cities hit by the plague, half the population would die within a few months, and in some areas, the mortality rate reached 70%. Doctors wore the famous bird-beak costumes stuffed with aromatic herbs, believing the scent protected them from miasma or bad air, as no one yet knew bacteria existed. In just 4 years, the Black Death wiped out an estimated 25 to 40 million Europeans. This fundamentally altered history. The severe shortage of labor caused wages to skyrocket, peasants began demanding better conditions, and the feudal system started to crumble. The church lost much of its authority because prayers could not save priests, who died at the same rate as everyone else. This colossal social and economic shift is believed by many historians to have accelerated the arrival of the Renaissance. It wasn't until 1894 that the French physician Alexandre Yersin isolated the pathogen, which was named in his honor, and proved the role of fleas and rats in its transmission. Beyond the plague, rats still carry dozens of dangerous diseases today, including leptospirosis, which is transmitted through water and soil contaminated with rat urine, tularemia, pseudotuberculosis, hemorrhagic fevers, and murine typhus. These are not reasons for hatred, but rather a reason to understand how interconnected our world truly is. The reason rats are virtually impossible to eradicate through conventional methods lies in their staggering reproductive efficiency. A rat's pregnancy lasts just 21 days. A single litter yields an average of 9 pups, and sometimes up to 20. Most incredibly, just 18 hours after giving birth, a female is ready to conceive again. Inside basements and warehouses near human habitats, they breed year-round, producing 3 to 4 litters annually. Theoretically, a single pair of rats can give rise to up to 15,000 descendants within a single year when factoring in the reproduction of their offspring. Rat pups are born blind and deaf, but within just 5 days, they develop magnetoreception, allowing them to sense the Earth's magnetic field for orientation. By 3 weeks, they are entirely independent, and by 2 months, they are already capable of reproducing. They possess epigenetic memory. If a pregnant female experiences severe starvation, her offspring are born with an altered metabolism that allows them to extract nutrients from scarce food with maximum efficiency. This alteration is passed down further. The grandchildren of starved rats can navigate mazes to find food 30% faster, even if they themselves have never experienced hunger. The biological memory of the grandmother guides the behavior of the grandchild. They also exhibit the Bruce effect. If a pregnant female encounters a new, stronger, dominant male, her body can terminate the pregnancy. The embryos are reabsorbed, and within 48 hours, she is ready to mate with the new leader. This ensures that her offspring will inherit genes from the most viable male available. Under conditions of critical overpopulation, an internal regulator kicks in. Stress levels spike, fertility drops, and females can alter the hormonal profile of their embryos, shifting development toward a less aggressive, female-skewed path to increase the group's overall survival odds. Rats perform crucial ecological functions that people rarely think about. First, they are a vital link in food chains. In cities and suburban areas, rats form the dietary foundation for foxes, owls, hawks, snakes, ferrets, and martens. In some metropolises, foxes have switched almost entirely to a diet of rats. Remove rats, and these predators would either vanish or switch to other wildlife, completely destroying the ecological balance. Second, they manage organic waste by consuming tons of food scraps and decaying matter in areas where sanitation services cannot keep up, thereby accelerating decomposition. Third, they aid in soil and flora restoration. Burrowing rats churn the soil in vacant lots and abandoned territories, improving its structure. By hoarding seeds and forgetting about them, they provide plants with growth points in places where seeds would otherwise never take root, such as inside asphalt cracks or behind sealed fences. Fourth, they serve as indicators of environmental neglect. A sudden spike in the rat population within a neighborhood is a clear signal that trash is not being cleared, and sanitary standards are failing. The rat is not the cause of the problem here. It is its visible symptom. Fifth, they control insect populations by actively consuming pest larvae, cockroaches, and beetles, keeping their numbers in check. The laboratory white rat, bred from the wild brown rat through generations of selective breeding, became the premier animal model in 20th and 21st century medicine. Their immune system is strikingly similar to that of humans. Their brain structure features the same primary regions, and their psychology, along with their reactions to stress, pain, and addiction, are entirely comparable. Without rats, we wouldn't have antibiotics in their current form, as dosages and efficacy were refined using them. Without them, there would be no vaccines for polio, measles, and rubella, no modern surgical techniques, and no advanced treatments for diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. When scientists developed antidepressants, they studied depression in rats. An isolated rat exhibits a loss of interest in pleasures, lethargy, and disrupted sleep, which helped researchers unlock the biochemistry of the illness in humans. The mechanisms behind addiction to alcohol, nicotine, and sugar were all mapped using rats, leading to the discovery of the brain's reward centers. A special place belongs to detector rats. In Tanzania and Mozambique, trained African giant pouched rats are used to detect tuberculosis. A single rat can screen 100 sputum samples in just 20 minutes, with an accuracy rate above 90%, whereas a standard laboratory analysis for that volume would take several days. Thanks to their exquisite sense of smell, these same pouched rats can sniff out the scent of explosives inside landmines. Because the rat is so light, it never triggers the detonator. It sniffs the field, freezes directly above a mine, and sappers receive exact coordinates. They have cleared thousands of hectares in Mozambique, Cambodia, and Colombia. These animals are officially called hero rats. The highest concentration of rats is found where the highest concentration of people is. In New York, estimates range anywhere from 2 to 8 million rats, alongside a human population of 8 million. In London, there are roughly 10,000 rats per square kilometer, and in Moscow, The count runs into the tens of millions across the entire metropolitan area. Urban rats are larger than rural ones due to a superior food supply. They are smarter because the environment presents more complex cognitive challenges, and they're more resilient to diseases due to constant exposure to human microflora. Populations living in different neighborhoods of the very same city develop their own cultural traditions for gathering food. Some specialize in trash bins, others raid warehouses, and some have learned to open refrigerators in the back rooms of grocery stores. Genetic studies in New York showed that rats from Manhattan and rats from Brooklyn almost never interbreed. They represent distinct genetic lineages tied to their respective boroughs. In the subway, generations of rats live without ever seeing the sun, entirely adapted to the roar of trains and the smell of creosote. The idea of a rat appearing in a toilet bowl is a fact, not a myth. A rat can hold its breath for several minutes and swim exceptionally well through sewer pipes against strong water currents. While such appearances in toilets are rare, they are entirely real, especially in older buildings. They are also a significant cause of fires. By constantly gnawing on wires, rats strip away electrical insulation. Experts in the U.S. estimate that up to 25% of urban fires with undetermined causes are actually linked to wire damage caused by rodents. Nor should we forget the damage to agriculture. In Asia, rats destroy roughly 50 million tons of rice annually, an amount that could feed 250 million people for an entire year. How do you view rats now? Has anything changed after hearing these facts? The Rat King is not a myth invented by storytellers, but a real natural phenomenon. When rats live in cramped, damp conditions, the tails of young individuals can become tangled, glued together by mud, feces, or food remnants. In attempting to break free, they pull the knot even tighter, often breaking their tails. As a result, several rats, with knots of up to 32 individuals documented, become permanently fused and are forced to live as a single organism. Other members of the colony sometimes bring food to the helpless cluster. Medieval people, discovering these tangled knots, believed they were looking at a mythical sovereign of rats. In reality, they are simply animals caught in a tragic trap. The famous legend of the Pied Piper of Hamelin in 13th century Germany, who lured rats and later children out of the town, is still analyzed by historians today. One theory suggests the lured children mask an outbreak of the plague, while another points to a mass emigration of youth to new lands. But the core of the story rests on a real, historical dread of rodents. The phrase, rats deserting a sinking ship, also has a scientific basis. Before a disaster, an aging vessel begins to develop micro cracks and vibrate differently under the pressure of incoming water. Rats detect these subtle changes through their whiskers long before humans notice a leak, and they make sure to abandon the hold during the very next port stop. In the East, the image of the rat is fundamentally different from the Western perspective. In China, Japan, and India, the rat symbolizes wealth, luck, and resourcefulness. It holds the first place in the Chinese zodiac. According to legend, the Buddha called for a race to his palace, and the rat won by cleverly jumping onto the ox's back and leaping forward just at the finish line. In Eastern culture, such cunning is viewed as a virtue. In the West, however, the negative archetype of the rat was solidified for 5 centuries by the plague, which bred a total terror of an animal whose true ecological role no one at the time could explain. Where rats lack natural predators, they become an ecological disaster. Arriving on isolated Pacific islands, New Zealand, or Hawaii, aboard European ships, they devastated ecosystems that had evolved over millions of years. Local birds had evolved without land predators. They nested on the ground, did not camouflage their eggs, and had no defense mechanisms. Rats wiped out dozens of unique bird species within a few generations. Today, Highly complex rat eradication operations costing millions of dollars are carried out on many islands off the coasts of Australia and New Zealand to save the remnants of rare fauna. Yet, this is not the fault of the rat as a species. It is the responsibility of humans who carelessly spread them across the globe. The rat has accompanied us for 10,000 years, since the days of the first granaries, the first cities, and the first ships. It was there beside us as we built civilization, perished in epidemics, discovered antibiotics, and cleared landmines. It survived glaciers, poisons, and radiation. The rat will always survive, not because it is our enemy, but because it is the most efficient, intelligent, and social adapter among mammals. An animal capable of carrying diseases, yet equally capable of showing pure altruism and laughter. If you found this material helpful and it opened your eyes to something new, I would be grateful for your support. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel Veldra, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments.